Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's been called the most psychologically compelling portrait of Bruce Lee ever written. Here to share the story of the martial arts legend, we welcome the author of Water, Mirror, Echo, Bruce Lee and the Making of Asian America, Jeff Chang. Great to have you with us, Jeff.
It's great to be here, Helen.
First of all, let's talk about writing this book, because it was very involved, and at one point during quarantine, it was the most challenging time for you, right? And it kind of changed a bit.
Yeah, the book actually shifted dramatically during the pandemic because at that time there was a lot of, I hate to put it so early in the morning like this, but there was a lot of violence against folks who look like us.
Yes.
And so we're feeling very, vulnerable. But at that same moment, the image of Bruce starts appearing in all of our communities. So people were just doing murals in the middle of the night, and you wake up the next day and you'd see these murals of Bruce Lee. And it was like an image of pride and an image of strength.
Yeah.
And also an image of unity and solidarity. And so I was like, oh, actually, this book is not just about Bruce, it's also about like what Bruce became here in the U.S.
Right, a hero.
A hero.
A hero, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to maybe refresh people's mind. We're talking about in quarantine, Asian Americans were targets of a lot of violence.
That's right.
It's just kind of crazy how that happened.
Yeah, thousands of incidents were reported.
Yeah.
But Bruce is somebody, he's born in the U.S., so he's a U.S. citizen, and then he grows up mostly in Hong Kong, but he comes back to the U.S. at 18. So he lives like a lot of us have lived as an immigrant. He's learning English again. He's kind of flunked all his English classes in Hong Kong, and he's carrying around a book of American idioms, and he's just trying to figure it out and try to find a sense of belonging, make friends, all those kinds of things. And in the process of doing that, I think that's when he becomes the hero that we actually know today.
You say he was kind of actually awkward, which is not something we think of. As someone who went to a lot of Bruce Lee movies in my teens, he was not awkward.
He was really handsome, right?
And very handsome.
And yet he had no game with the ladies.
Right?
Like, girls would try to flirt with him, and he'd be like, he didn't know what to tell them, so he'd be like, feel my muscles. He was very awkward in that way. And with guys, he'd be like, throw a punch at me, man.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, hey,
no,
let's just hang out.
Yeah.
But that was how he first approached people. He was gregarious. He had a lot of friends. He just had a way about him that he was a little awkward in first meeting people.
He also had to get a little tough because he was living in basically a segregated neighborhood in Seattle.
Yeah.
He went to UW.
He went to UW. Yeah. So he's actually learning a lot about what it means to be a minority in the U.S. And I think that's how he goes from being, like, in Hong Kong, he's a privileged kid.
Right.
He's like a child movie actor.
And didn't you say that his dad had sent him back to the States to kind of teach him a lesson?
Yeah, he got into too many fights. He liked fighting, so he gets into too many fights, and they're like, no, we're sending you back to the U.S. So he's coming here on his own, and he needs to be taught. One day a cop pulls him over, and he wants to punch the cop, and his friend is like, no, you don't do that.
Right.
You'll end up under the jail or dead. And so he has to learn these kinds of, but he begins to identify with the underdogs, the folks who are really struggling, the folks who feel down-pressed a little bit, and that's why he's still talked about today. He's sort of the global hero of the underdog.
He actually met his wife, or his wife Linda, who was, I think she was going to high school in Garfield,
That's
Garfield
right.
High School,
Yeah.
and she saw him come into school to give a presentation on martial arts.
Right.
Fell in love with him, or in lust with him, just he was so handsome, and then took a class of his at UW.
At UW, and they are hanging out. They're going to tea afterwards, and he's starting to flirt with her, but she didn't really get it.
Yeah.
Until he kind of tackled her one day out of just as if they were doing a move, and he asked her out. And then they go to the Space Needle, and the rest is history.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And here's a shot of Linda, I think, cutting his hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful shot. There's so many amazing photos of Bruce Lee, but I love this one because it's so intimate, and it gives you a sense of what their relationship is really about. He's on the set of a movie, obviously, and she's cutting his hair and just sort of taking care of him. He was really under a lot of stress when he was making a lot of these movies.
Yeah. And those movies really are iconic. There was a lot of racial divide at the time as well.
Yeah.
And you talk about how he became even more famous after he died.
Yes. He's somebody who dies literally a month before the movie Enter the Dragon opens.
Wow, I remember that movie so well.
Yeah, and we all kind of acted it out on the playgrounds and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure for people who are watching it at the time, they're like, how can he be dead? He looks so alive on the screen.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of a melancholy in his passing so early.
He also faced discrimination. Like, he really wanted to have his own television show. He was a big star back in Hong Kong.
He was. He was a huge star. He was somebody who popularized the martial art of Kung Fu. And he was also an actor. And so he comes up for this part for the TV show Kung Fu. And he goes out and tries out for the part. And they say, no, we can't understand what he's saying. He has an Asian American accent. And they're like, we can't understand what he's saying. So they give the part to David Carradine, and they dress him up in yellow face. They slant his eyes and make him stoop on the set and that kind of thing. And so he was crushed. And because of that, I think Enter the Dragon really meant a lot to him, because it meant that he could come back to the U.S. and he could portray Asians and Asian Americans and their ideas and their fighting arts in this beautiful light.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
He did get a TV show.
Yes.
He played Kato on Green Lantern.
Green Hornet.
Sorry, Green Hornet, sorry.
Yeah,
Green Hornet.
yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
But it really wasn't the role he really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing sort of a sidekick to the main character.
Limo driver.
Yeah, he was a limo driver, he's a cook, he's a manservant, and then he's getting the Green Hornet out of all his situations, because the Green Hornet can't really fight, but Kato can.
Right.
But the thing that happens is you know, Kato dolls and Green Hornet dolls, they look at the sales, and halfway through the season, the Kato dolls start outselling the Green Hornet dolls.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we've got to do something for this guy. So he writes a script. They don't actually do that, but they actually make a lot more room for him. And that's when you start seeing Bruce become a star to these new generations of kids. Who are like, we've never seen anything like it. Folks like you and folks like me. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Tell me about his personal life with Linda. You talk about it was tough because it was an interracial couple.
Yeah. And
they had 2 kids, right?
Yeah. Linda's parents were not into her marrying a Chinese guy.
Right.
This is during a period where, you know, it's still illegal in many states to actually have an interracial marriage. So they had to overcome that. She really supported
him. She learned how to support him with the moves even. I mean, you just saw a picture there where she was helping him.
Incredibly supportive. And I think that she's a lot of the reason that he's able to become the star that he can become, because she just supports him unconditionally.
Tell me about the title, what it means.
So we mostly know this phrase of Bruce's "be water." It's part of a longer passage in a Taoist classic that Bruce read when he was really young. The full passage is, moving be like water, still be like a mirror, respond like an echo. And it was sort of a passage that through his entire life he was trying to figure out what it meant.
Yeah.
And so I love that idea of him struggling with this these 3 ideas, being like water, being like a mirror, being like an echo, through his whole life, and actually never getting a chance to figure it out. You know, he figured out the water part, but the mirror part and the echo part, he wasn't able to be still, and he wasn't able to be like an echo during his life, because he was fighting so hard to get Enter the Dragon made.
Yes. Yeah. You were able to go through personal papers, unlike any author before.
I was lucky enough to be granted access to the papers by Shannon Lee, his daughter, and it gives us a different side. Like, we're talking about him being awkward, right? Mm-hmm. He's also very vulnerable at different points. He was despairing. You know, he was really thinking that he wasn't going to be able to do it, so he cheered himself up in all these kinds of ways. He wrote to himself in Chinese. He wrote to himself all of these different types of passages from these Taoist and Zen Buddhist manuals that would pick himself up, you know, and also American self-help books as well. Yeah. So that's how I think he got himself through the tough parts.
He died at such a young age, 34.
32.
32.
Yeah.
And then his own son, following in his footsteps, died very young as well, Brandon.
Yeah. It's such a tragedy, you know? And for us, like, just in terms of Asian Americans being on TV, you know what I mean? Or in the movies and stuff, it really hurts to think about, like, Bruce breaking through the bamboo ceiling in 1973. Then his son, it takes him like another generation to be able to get to that level as well. And he's about to blow up with The Crow. Yeah. And then he gets shot and killed in The Crow accidentally on set. And then it takes another generation for us to get to a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Right.
where Michelle Yeoh can win an Oscar,
Win an
playing
Oscar.
all of these different types of characters, you know, in one movie. So it's a little melancholy. Yeah.
It's an incredible read, by the way.
Thank you so
You're
much.
You're at Powell's tomorrow.
Powell's tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
And that's at 7 p.m. Powell City of Books on 10th and West Burnside. We'll put all that information for everyone on our website at k2.com. The book again is titled Water, Mirror, Echo, Bruce Lee and the Making of an Asian America. Jeff Chang, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.